Long, long ago in Egypt, there was a village that was set between the ocean and the mountains. And the problem with the people living in that village was the only water they could get from their wells was always just a little bit salty. Now, for healthy people that wasn't a problem, but when people were sick, well, they needed fresh water from the mountains. You'd think that would be an easy thing to get, except these mountains had a monster. No one was exactly sure what the monster looked like. Some said it was a giant with a great wooden club. Others said it was a dragon. Some thought it was like a storm cloud that shot lightning from its eyes. But what they did know is most of the people that went up into the mountains never came back. Well, it just so happened in this village there was a family, and the young boy in that family fell ill. And when the doctor came and examined him, he said, "This boy needs fresh water. Someone must go up into the mountains to the spring and gather fresh water for him to drink. Only then will he be well." Well, the mother and the father, they were going to go up, but the older daughter, she said, wait, mother and father, people talk about the monster there, and so many fathers and mothers that go up into the mountains never come back. Besides, you need to care for my brother. You're always saying how clever and good I am at hide and seek. Perhaps I can go into the mountain, find the water, and come down before the monster even notices me. Now, the father and the mother didn't like the idea of sending their only daughter up into the mountains. But she made a lot of sense. She was good at hiding and sneaking. And so they gave her some empty canteen bottles and some food. And the next morning she set off down the road. As she was climbing on the paths through the foothills, she met a soldier coming down with torn armor and blood on his face. The soldier looked at the girl and said, "What do you think you're doing? You can't go into these mountains. It's dangerous." And the young girl said, "Well, I know it's dangerous, but my brother needs fresh water, or he won't get better. I've got to go." And so she continued on. And she met an old woman who was carrying some sticks on her back. When the old woman saw where the girl was going, she said, "Where do you think you're going? There's a monster up there." "Yes, I know there's a monster," she said, "but I must do my best. My brother's counting on me." And she continued up on the road. Now, as she was walking, she kept her eyes open for places she could run and hide should she hear the footsteps of a great giant or the growls of a dragon. She didn't notice any of those things. But as she came around a corner, she could see up high into the mountains. And there, in a mountain pass, she saw a great gray cloud. And the cloud had eyes like lightning that would flash. And it was laughing. "Ha ha 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 ha! Look at you, you little girl. A girl is coming here to try to get some water. Ha 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 ha! Coming to my land. Girls never do anything important. What is she thinking?" Now, at first, the young girl felt sad being made fun of like that. But then she remembered what her mother had taught her. Whenever you're feeling sad, take a deep breath and smile. And she did. And she felt just a little bit better. And then she remembered what else her mother had told her. If anyone taunts you or makes fun of you, look them straight in the eye and say, "What do you mean by that?" And so that's what she did. She looked up at the monster and said, "What do you mean by that?" And the monster said, well, everyone knows girls don't do important things." "What do you mean by that?" "Well, they don't do things like maybe boys do, or men, or something like that," said a now increasingly confused monster. No one had ever spoken back to him before. And the girl kept on walking up the path. So he tried something new. Look at you, you have ugly clothes on. Boy, look at your clothes. You must be a poor girl. You must be a peasant. No one important wears clothes like that. And so once again, as she walked, she looked at the monster and said, what do you mean by that? And he said, well, your clothes are ugly and dirty and threadbare. What do you mean by that? Well, they're not as nice as other people's clothes. What do you mean by that? The monster wasn't sure what to say. And it was then the girl noticed something about the monster. Now normally when you're walking down a road, you see things far off in the distance that are very small. And as you get closer, they get to be bigger. The monster was exactly the opposite. It looked big when it was far away, but as she got closer and closer to the monster, it shrunk smaller and smaller and smaller. So by the time that she reached it, it was only as large as a penny. She reached up and took it out of the ground. Well, little monster, who are you? And a now much smaller monster looked like just a small bit of mist in the palm of her hand. I'm your fear. And she smiled. Not anymore, you're not. And she reached out and she threw him over the edge of the mountain. And he was never seen again. People say in that village, from that day to this, people have been able to go up into the mountains and gather fresh drinking water from the springs and streams, all that they want. All because of a girl who faced her fear and won. And that's the end of the story.